Hey everyone, it's Tracy at T-Ray Art Piece. Thanks so much for coming back for another fluid art video. Um, you really make my day. Anytime you comment, subscribe, like, it really helps my channel grow and it's so much appreciated. So, we're on a 16-inch wood cradle board and there's my cute little strainer. Now you want to put your base coat, your little puddle, stretch it out a tad and swirl it when you have your colander in there just to make sure it doesn't go flying off on you. Wet the canvas so your paint moves. And just the big reminder is your color to go paints do dry quicker than our regular acrylics. So I'm really happy with the end result. I did lose some of my purple, you'll see, and I may come back in with a brush now that it's dried and maybe add a little more purple. But we'll see. I like to sit on them and not sit on them, but hang them up and eyeball them for a while and see if I want to do more. So the one thing is I'm turning the board in opposite direction than my hand. So this can get quite fun. And I just wanted to give each color a chance to come out. That's why I did all the colors separately instead of, say, put them in a cup and do a ring pour through the colander. It was more time consuming, but I think it was worth it. I wanted, this is my last color to go experiment. And there's a bigger piece that I'm going to do that all these experiments have been helping me decide which technique. And because I think I'm mainly going to be using color to go. So stay tuned for that. It's a personal piece that I need to do for my bathroom. And it's a huge canvas and I've put it off, but I'm almost ready. So that I will be recording when I do that. I've sped this up. Otherwise, it was like 26 minutes long. So anytime you have any questions, please ask, put them in the comments, and I will answer them if I know, or I'll help you find out the answer. I appreciate you all very much. Have a great day. I'm going to put on some music, and you can just watch some paint flow. And I'd love to hear what you think of the end result. Have a great day. Take care of yourselves and find your peace. Bye-bye.